Mars Films.
Doug 218. Good evening.
Good evening to you, and good evening to you guys. We are recapping Big Brother Canada, season number 9, week number 3. Believe it's already been 3 weeks.
It doesn't seem like it. It's wow. Okay.
Yeah, it goes pretty quick, I
Yeah.
must say. So, but as you remember, at the end of Thursday's episode, they were doing the HOH competition, and it was like that question and answer kind of thing where they buzzed and and eliminated each other kind of thing.
And whoever won picked the next pair to battle.
Right. So in the end, Victoria won, which we told you on Thursday if you were watching. Now, if you wait till the end of this video, we will tell you who won the next HOH.
Spoiler!
And potentially who they nominated. So,
We know?
we know.
Okay, cool.
So Victoria won for this week. So now the power has kind of shifted to the other side of the house. Because for the past couple weeks, it's kind of been in the Sunsetters
Side of the
house. So now it's kind of switched to the other side of the house, which is like everybody else is not in the Sunsetters.
And now we've seen the emergence of two other.
There's kind of like 2 other new alliances. So now you got the Oddballs, which is almost everybody else in the house outside Sunsetters. So like Victoria and Austin and Brayden, Kyle, Rohan, all the pretty much everybody else is in the Oddballs. But then there's another one, which is only 3, which they're calling themselves Bossy Glossies. And that's Victoria, Brayden, and Austin. So that's interesting. And what's also interesting is Beth and Austin. Remember how they were kind of good friends and they kind of said they'd have each other's back? Well, that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. Austin doesn't seem to trust her anymore. Not really sure why.
No.
But she doesn't seem to trust her anymore. So, like she said, she won't pick. Like, she's going to keep up that kind of ruse so that maybe Beth will give her information. But I think she kind of knows that there's this other alliance. So she thinks Beth's playing her. So now Austin's not necessarily going to really give Beth that much info.
Yeah,
so
she'll trust her about as far as she can throw her. So Kiefer had an attack of conscience,
Yeah, with the whole trying to flip to get rid of Rohan instead of Josh. So he kind of almost volunteered to go up.
Yeah.
And he did talk to Victoria about that because he felt bad about it.
Yeah.
And he did admit that he was part of that and I guess apologized sort of for it. And, she listened to him, and I think respected the fact that he did that. So.
Well, like you said, I want to show my kids that, you can do a clean game and
right.
I have to be right with myself.
Yeah.
This is not who I am. And
right.
so it's like, I got to make it right. I respect that. It could have blown up in his face, but, hey. He did what he had to do, and
well, I guess there's 2 different kinds of players. Those that lie. I mean, they've all said that. Even Latoya has said pretty much everybody lies in this game, and that's basically what she was saying to Kiefer.
Yeah.
So that don't feel bad. I mean, it's a game of deception. Let's face it. It's kind of like Survivor in that way. It's outwit, outlast, outplay. So, I mean, chances are somebody's going to lie to you, and you're probably going to lie to them at some point in the game. So you've got those that don't really have a problem with really lying the entire game, and then you've got ones like Kiefer who want to play it honestly. And there's been other players that have played it that way and have done well, and have been very honest. And so what they say they're going to do, they do. So I think that's kind of what he wanted to play.
Of course.
Like that. So
he
just felt bad about
he wanted to do it clean.
Lying about how the vote was going to go or how they wanted it to go.
So she makes everyone's kind of talking to her, and she's got a plan. She she kind of knows what she wants to do.
Yeah.
And Latoya's like, what, I respect you, girl, whatever you want to do,
Right.
I ain't coming after you, yada,
Yeah.
yada, yada.
Well, I think that's true. I mean,
Yeah.
Latoya's pretty much a straight shooter,
Mm-hmm.
and she really hasn't mentioned Victoria as one of her targets.
No,
I think
that's true.
she's kind of like, because she's part of the big guy kind of alliance with Jetson and Ty. So I think with her, it's more of getting rid of maybe the big guns on that side.
Yeah.
So like Rohan and Kyle, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. So I think that's kind of more her target than really Victoria was.
Yeah.
But Victoria really didn't like how it went down last week, and she knows Latoya was one of the ones who was spearheading that, and she's like basically calling her the flip queen.
Yeah.
That she was the one who's, and I mean it came down to like literally minutes before the live show last week when it was looking like they were going to vote out Rohan, because Victoria wanted them to know it was because of her that it didn't that Rohan was still there.
You're here because of me, dude.
And that it didn't go that way.
That's
true. So she didn't like that.
Yeah.
And she knew Latoya spearheading it. So that was kind of really where she was going with her nominations pretty much all along, is that Latoya would probably be her main target.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of who would she put up beside her. And because of what Kiefer said, she decided
easy second seat.
Take him up on it basically as pawn. So she ended up nominating Latoya and Kiefer.
But she kind of spun it that Kiefer was
the target.
Target. She told Latoya, "Girl, you're safe.
Yeah.
He's got to go. He did me dirty. Blah blah blah."
Right. And the fact she said why she put Latoya up is because she knows Latoya flips. So she thinks if she's up, she won't be able to flip the vote, and that to whoever else would be on the block with Kiefer. So she thought if Latoya's nominated, she's obviously not going to push to keep Kiefer. So that's why she nominated. That's what she said, even though we know that actually Latoya is her target.
So,
but I think Latoya kind of had an idea.
Yeah, you could kind of see she was calling BS on that.
She's smart, Latoya. So.
Yeah. It's POV time. And, no, we missed the whole, Kyle and Rohan kind of made a run at Kiefer.
Well, because there was a conversation Latoya and Kiefer had. And they were I think they were in the pantry or the bedroom, one of the things. They were having a conversation anyway, and more or less, kind of, they kind of knew what was going on and that, and they basically more or less said they think they're not going to get past the week without some fireworks happening. Now, I don't think they meant they were going to cause fireworks. I think they just thought that there's just so much tension.
There's going to be a lot of drama and stuff.
That there would be fireworks.
But Rohan had walked in.
He heard that, so that's all he heard.
Yeah.
So he came in at the end of the conversation.
Yeah,
so he was thinking that Kiefer and Latoya are going to create these fireworks. So later he goes back and tells Austin and Kyle and all that I think there's going to be fireworks because this is what he heard. So Kyle and Rohan decide to corner Kiefer in the pantry and confront him about this.
And they just, they were aggressive, really peppering him with, like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? What kind of fireworks? And
well, because at first Kiefer's like, what do you mean? And then Rohan said what he heard. He goes, oh. He goes, you took that out of context. He goes, they just mean they think that the tension will blow up into fireworks at something, but they didn't seem to believe him. What he was saying, and they kept bringing it up, and like there were other people in the room, like Tara was there, I think Katina was there. They didn't say anything, but they were listening, and it was like the two of them going at him.
Yeah,
he did
pretty well. He held his own.
Well, they're saying to him, "Don't yell at us."
Yeah.
He wasn't yelling at. He never raised his voice once.
You're the one being more aggressive
Yeah.
to me, and
then, so Latoya had enough, and she was listening at the door. She came in and like, no, this is not. We're not going to do this. We're not ganging up on one person here, you know. And basically, it's true because she said to Julie week 1, you're going to hear your name in this game. It's a game.
Yeah.
And if you don't hear your name, there's a problem. You're not actually playing Big Brother then.
If they ain't talking about you,
well, then you're either flying too far under the radar, which means you probably won't have a chance to win anyway, because nobody even thinks you're a threat, you know, and you're not playing the game. So, like she said, I've heard my name out of your mouth and your mouth.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's going to hear their name.
Yeah.
One person wins this game. It's true. You know, so yeah, eventually you're going to have to eliminate everybody. So, to get there. So, and then they're like, what? And they're like, what? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Like, they do kind of doing to her what they did to Kiefer.
She wouldn't have it.
And she wouldn't have it. She's like, we're not having this conversation.
Nope,
So she
I'm
walked
done.
in, and Rohan's following her.
Yeah.
She's like, I told you we're not having this conversation. And more or less, don't make this a big deal because I can make this a big deal kind of thing. So they ended the conversation anyway. So...
Don't anger that police officer.
That's right.
So we get to the POV, and it's Jetson, Austin, Kiefer, Latoya. Who else? Do you remember?
No.
But because OLG's
Yeah.
OLG's a sponsor, it was
It was a big crossword puzzle game.
and Jetson killed it.
Did you say Austin? Austin was in it too.
You know, and Austin was doing well.
Well, Austin, I think, and Jetson were doing the best, but Jetson was just flying. Like, he was doing really well. It's funny, because Kiefer, at one point, the first one was, I think it was Eviction on the bottom, and it's funny, because they're saying the night somebody goes home. And
Thursday.
So Kiefer said it was Thursday. He misunderstood the question, but it was actually Eviction.
Yeah.
So that was pretty funny. And then Austin and Jetson kind of were doing the best. I think Victoria and Kiefer were kind of falling behind with that because, which was interesting. So, Latoya was in it too. I think we forgot Latoya. But man, Jetson just zipped through it. So he ended up winning POV. And of course, Latoya was all happy because remember they're in an alliance together. And he of course, going to use it to take his girl off.
Yeah. And Victoria's like, the worst
possible scenario
just happened.
Jetson winning it, or Latoya, really. And so she had to come up with an idea.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted to make sure Jetson doesn't use the veto. And she's thinking, how can I do that? Well, she came up with the idea of bringing Jetson and Ty in and saying, if you use the veto to take down Latoya, I'm going to put up Ty. Because even though Jetson's close with Latoya, he's closer to Ty.
Yeah.
So, and he's not going to want to lose him.
No.
So, and chances are the other house would vote Ty out over Kiefer. Because he's a bigger threat.
Yeah, true.
And at first, that angered all of them. And Jetson's like, I'm not going to be told what I can do with my veto. Yeah. I'm going to take my girl down.
Yeah.
And so they had a lot of conversations. He planned to use it. And so they thought, she was bluffing. And she more or less had said it was kind of a bluff. But I think she said she would do it kind of thing. Because they are on the other side of the house.
If you force me, this is it.
So during all this, they actually had another competition, which was interesting. It was like a big bingo card, and they were split into two different teams. It was by random draw, and they had to. It was like a kind of like a big truth or dare game, but it was a dare, so they had to scratch the spaces on the bingo cards, and it would tell them a dare that they had to do, and if they did it, they'd earn a bingo ball. And so they would mark off their bingo
They had to get
cards.
one complete line.
Yeah. and the first one to do that would win, and they'd win a pizza party. And the losing one, I think they were on slop, and then one of the losing team had to dress in a big bingo ball costume.
Truth be told, out of all the costumes we've seen in Big Brother Canada and the U.S., this one was cute.
It was fun, yeah.
It was cute.
Just the big hands on them. It was funny, but and so they had them do things like Kiefer had to sit in a bucket of ice cream.
That would have been cold.
Yeah, it was like melted. It looked like it was melted ice cream. And then like other ones like pie in the face. He had to pie a couple people in the face.
Argue.
At the Big Brother proposal.
Yeah.
It was like Braden did that to Austin. I think Kiefer had to pour water down his pants. Like, they didn't show all of them, but it was pretty fun. Like Tara had to push, I think, a potato on the floor, but with her nose.
That was funny.
Yeah. So they have them do some pretty crazy things. So, all in all, the one team won. And then they got the pizza party, and the other team, so they random drew their name, and it ended up being Braden, who had to be the big bingo ball.
And he looked ever so thrilled. Ever.
Big blue ball. It was funny with these big giant hands.
Like Mickey Mouse hands and kind of thing. And he kind of walked out, and you kind of saw that look on the camera like,
It was funny.
You drew the short straw, pal, so.
But at least it was fun for them anyway, so.
So, we get to eviction night.
Well, no, it was POV ceremony.
Sorry.
Because remember, at this point, Judson was very much going to use the veto.
He's like, to hell with you.
So, they did have another conversation with Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, are you really going to do that? And she goes, yeah.
Yep.
You take LaToya down, I'm putting
Ty
up.
And he's gone.
And he'll be the one to go. And so, she was insistent still, though, that Kiefer was her target.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, here's the thing. And this is when I think they really started to realize it's not Kiefer, it's LaToya, because she's so adamant that LaToya stays on the block and that Judson not use the veto. And so they knew. It doesn't make sense that she'd have such a problem with Judson using the veto on LaToya if Kiefer's the target.
Well, that's it.
Because if your target's Kiefer, well, your target's staying on the block, so what's the problem here? So they pretty much knew by that point LaToya was the target, so it ended up being, he didn't use it. They were hoping at that point that she's true to word that it was actually Kiefer was the target and that everybody would vote Kiefer out. But I think, you gotta know at that point, you know. And at first they think they have the numbers. Because remember, like, there's supposed to be 6 Sunsetters. So now you got 2 of them on the block. So technically that's still 4. If you could actually get a couple from the other side to vote with you, you might pull this off. But Tina's been kind of pulling away from the Sunsetters. Because remember from last week, she didn't like that they were kind of kept out of the decision making a little bit.
She was still kind of butthurt about the whole thing.
And so she's saying that she doesn't really trust them that much. Like, she's saying she's okay with alliances and working with them.
But don't tell me
how I'm going to vote.
Yeah.
So she's becoming closer with Tara. And so Tara, of course, is working more with the oddballs. So Tina's kind of working more with them now in a way, but they don't seem to realize she was part of the Sunsetters, which is very good about that. So,
that's true.
They didn't realize she was part of that. So, she's kind of doing, and so she'd been thinking about that. And her and Tara actually had a conversation about that, and Beth, about who they should vote out between Kiefer and LaToya. Now, Beth saying she'd probably vote out Kiefer because LaToya is smarter and more strategic. And Tina, which you would think would be a red flag kind of to Beth. Yeah. She said she wasn't sure. Yeah. But she did say, yeah, you're probably right, Kiefer. it'd be better to keep Latoya. But she's kind of like, oh no, you know. But I guess Beth didn't really, because she was doing something with her nails, so she didn't really catch that too much.
Exactly.
So, anyway, we get to eviction night.
And it was...
It was a 6-3 vote, and they voted out Latoya, so...
And it was the most quietest screw you to Victoria. She hugged
everybody but
not
her.
Victoria, and you can see it on Victoria's face. She's like,
well,
okay, you know.
mm-hmm.
She didn't say anything to anybody on the way out. She grabbed her bag, walked out.
Yeah, because normally they'll stop by the door up the stairs. They'll stop and they'll say something, but nope, she didn't. She hugged them all goodbye and then walked out the door. So. And
Arisa was like, "Girl, my girl, what happened?"
Yeah, and Arisa asked her if she was blindsided. And she said, not really. I mean, especially once they wouldn't let Jetson use the veto, she pretty much knew she was the target.
Yeah,
so.
She knew she was smoked.
And really, I mean, Kiefer's pretty good. Like, he's, and because they worry, she's a compy. She's good at comp. She's got me either close to winning or winning.
Yeah.
And she's very strategic. So, they were, of course, she was the bigger target, really.
Yeah.
And in a sense, you get it, and it's actually good that Victoria did that because, I mean, it's actually playing.
Yeah.
It's not, not to say Kiefer's an easy target, because he's not.
No.
She actually put up players.
Yeah.
Not ones that are just kind of the easy vote kind of thing, which she could have done, but she didn't. So that was actually good on Victoria's part. And it's smart to do that, and it actually was smart to get rid of Latoya. She was the bigger target.
She's done what a lot of people, when they get HOH, don't do in the first few weeks. Make a big shot. And
make a big move, yeah.
Yeah. And she did it, and it was successful. Because
so many people, it's true, in the beginning, because, I mean, it's still pretty early in the game, don't tend to make big moves. Like, it's always like, okay, I don't want too much blood in my hands, so I'm going to play too hard, so I'm going to pick, like, what they call the easy targets, so, like, ones that may not be, like, affiliated with people, or that may not be that big of competition beast.
Yeah, I'm not going to upset anybody.
You know, it's not going to upset anybody.
Yeah.
So many play that way, and so it's kind of nice to see a player not play that way and actually go for the big targets.
Yeah.
So, good for you, Victoria.
Good.
I like Latoya, don't get me wrong, and I like Kiefer, but it's good for you that you're actually playing the game.
I do like that Victoria had the guts to make the big shot.
Right.
And play hard to make sure it landed.
Right, and it did.
And it did.
It's very, she swung, she hit, so good for you. Good job.
So we get to the HOH.
And we actually saw who won.
And it was
a big shuffleboard game.
And they've done versions of this game before.
Oh, yeah.
Whoever gets the high score, they're in the lead until wins.
Or until somebody
knocks
the last
them off.
one, yeah.
So
Kiefer was fairly early on, and he got a 10, right? That was the highest number he could get, so he was there, you know. And then a few of them, like, went right off the end, and, you know, so Austin also got a 10, so they tied. And then, of course, they finished out, but nobody else got a 10.
So it was a shootout.
And so it was a shootout between Austin and Kiefer, and I think Austin got like an 8 or something. Just again, and so
Kiefer
9 or something like that, and Kiefer won HOH. So the Sunsetters are back in control again.
Way to go, buddy.
Way to go. And of course, as you might think, he's going to avenge his ally, and he has nominated Kyle and Rohan.
I wonder how he came up with that thought.
I believe it was because they cornered him in the diary room, not the diary, the pantry. Now you'd think Victoria would have been his target. The week's not over yet. So remember, veto still had to be played.
That's another story.
That's for next week. But all in all, it was an interesting week. It's good to see real gameplay.
Yeah,
and,
finally.
and a big target actually being
Yeah.
targeted early in the game.
Exactly.
So that was a good week.
For me, it really held my interest. You know, like, let's see big moves. You know, you've only got a short time to really kind of make your name.
Yeah, especially if you want to win.
And exactly, especially if you want to win this.
You can't float by.
No. And so many do float for so long, and then they realize, oh, crud.
I actually got to make moves
I
here.
got to make moves.
Well, because then nobody will think of you. Like, then you're having to defend, well, why should I pick you over somebody else?
And
when,
and
you're just carried along kind of thing.
And we've heard that question time and time again in both versions of this show.
Oh, yeah.
Why should we choose you?
Right. What have you done to deserve it?
And what have you done to deserve this?
Yeah.
Victoria's on her way to writing her resume. She can say, I took out a big player.
And remember, she won the first competition. Remember when they were still in teams? It was her the reason Team Destiny won.
Yep.
So, and now she's won again. So she's already winning competitions.
Yep.
And she's taken out a big target. So she's on her way of making a very good resume.
So it's like, you wanna do that. You wanna play smart, but you wanna make big moves.
Right.
I was kind of happy to see that Keith.
And she's got a couple of alliances too.
Yeah, she's working. She's working a couple sides of the fence, and I'm glad to see Keith kind of got that safety. So and good on.
Because he probably would have been targeted again for the third week.
You know, and
maybe.
Let's see if Kiefer will make the big moves. We know we know who he's put up. Let's see what washes out.
Right.
Next week.
Well, thank you for watching, guys. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when we go live to talk about Big Brother Season 7 Canada version. And we will see you next week. Bye, guys.